Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. So what are we learning today? Today we will be learning about means of communication. Now what is communication? We talk to each other. When you are at home, you talk to your parents, your friends, your siblings. When you are in classrooms, you talk to your teachers, your classmates, your friends, or even you speak on stage and give some kind of message. Then, when we talk on a phone, or we send messages, or we write letters, we send emails also. So, whenever we are conveying any kind of message to the other person or we are receiving it, it is called communication. It can be a conversation between two people talking directly. It can be one-to-one communication. It can be a communication from one person to many people. For example, a teacher giving a lecture in the class, that is also a means of communication. So, how do we communicate with each other and why do we need to communicate? This is all we are going to cover in this lesson today. So, shall we start? All right. What is communication? Talking or exchanging information with each other is called communication. We communicate when we talk to someone. We communicate when we send some information or a message to someone. Sending and receiving messages or information is very important for us. How do we know that a person who is related to us, who is not staying with us, is sick, is not well, is injured? Because those people tell us, they send the message, they communicate. How do we know that there is a marriage or some function and we have to go there? Because that information is being sent to us that there is a particular function and you are being invited. So that's how communication is very important. When they were early men, when there were no telephones, when there were no newspapers, there was no television, no radio. Right now, in the era in which we are living, we have all the means of communication. We have television, we have radio, we have telephones. But earlier, how do people used to communicate when they were living far off? So, a message, a letter was being tied in the neck of a pigeon, and pigeon used to carry the messages. All right, that was the most common way of sending messages. So sending messages through the beat of drums. So what used to happen, that they had a secret code language, that two beats would mean this, three beat of drums would mean this, and that's how they used to communicate. Then the sound of birds or animals and hanging a written message around the neck of a pigeon are the oldest means of communication in the history of mankind. So these are some modern ways of communication. Talking on phone, talking, sending or receiving messages is called communication. Why do we need to communicate? As we all discussed right now, that why do we need to communicate? We need to ask how people are, how their health is. We need to invite someone to the functions. We need to give some important piece of information. So that's why communication is very important. Communication keeps us in contact with our loved ones and known people. We come to know about the welfare of each other. We can tell others how we feel. So, supposingly you are not feeling well or there is something which is troubling you, how would you tell that thing to your parents or teachers or your friends? By talking, by communicating. We can receive and send invitations to functions and ceremonies. We get to know what is happening around us. So how do we get to know what is happening around us? We listen that on radio, we watch that on TV when the news comes, and the news, through radios or through television, we come to know that okay, what's happening in India, what's happening outside of India, uh, when when is a particular sports match is happening, cricket match or badminton, like that. So we come to know about the current affairs through means of communication only. We need to talk to people around us. We need ways in which we can communicate with people, not in front of us. When the people are in front of us, we can directly talk to those people. But when the people are not in front of us, how are we going to communicate? We have found some means of communication for getting to know things happening around us, and these ways are called means of communication. So, some means of communication have been invented to send or receive messages for to and from the people who are not in front of us. How can we do that? We can do that through different means of communication. We use various means of communication for the exchange of information and messages. We communicate through letters, radios, telephones, computers, newspaper, television, etc. So these are the pictures of the modern means of communication. A postcard, a letter, magazine, newspaper, radio, telephone, that is a landline, a mobile phone, and a fax machine. Now, this laptop, television, laptop or computer, email, internet, all these are the means of communication. Now, the postcard, when the mankind started developing, when the animals were not used anymore for sending messages, the oldest means of communication was the postcard. So, postcards were the oldest means of communication in the modern world. What happened that through post office we can buy the stamp, the letters, we can write our messages, seal it in the envelope, write the address where we have to send that letter, and post it in the post box. A postman comes, opens the post box, takes out all the letters and takes it to the post office, and according to the address they deliver it to the receiver's place. So the postcards and the letters are posted at the address of the receiver. They are dropped in the red box called letterbox. A letterbox looks like this. They are then sent to different places. The postman then takes the letters to the house of the receiver and delivers the letters. In this way, the message from different city reaches us in our city. Okay? Uh, Telegrams were the fastest means of communication several years ago. So, several years ago, telegrams were used if we needed to send the messages fast, and even the speed post. So, one could send urgent messages by telegram to another city, or speed post is also fast. Now, let's write what is a postcard. A postcard is a means of communication through which people send a written message to other people, and a postcard is posted in the post box, and then through post office the postman takes the postcard to the different cities. Where do we get a postcard from? We get it from a post office. Now, what are electronic means of communication? Those means of communication which are run by electricity. The invention of the telephone made communication very easy. So, Graham Bell was the person who invented the telephone. And through telephone, when the number was being dialed, directly we could talk to the person who had telephone in their houses. So that made communication very easy. Earlier, everyone could not afford a telephone. So earlier, what happened? Not every house had a telephone because they could not afford it. Um, it was a bit on the expensive side. So sending letters and telegrams was the most popular means of communication. So not everyone used to have telephone back at that time. So how do people used to communicate? Through letters and telegrams only. But now every household has a telephone, even they have a mobile phone. People in different places, cities, countries, and continents can easily communicate with one another. The mobile telephone can be used while traveling also. So mobile means movement only. So while traveling, was one telephone which was fixed at one place, but the mobile telephone it can be carried from one place to another, and people can talk on that telephone, the mobile telephone, while traveling also. Now everyone is in connection with others all the time. One can send text messages called SMS on mobile phones, and instantly the other person receives the SMS. We can send email on the internet. SMS and emails are transferred to the receiver at the same time, and this is the way of instant communication. So one kind of communication is fast means of communication, which used to go fast. When we are sending message, the other people will receive the message in less time. But then comes the instant means of communication. We are sending the message and the receiver is receiving at the same time only, and that can be done through internet. And when we send SMS, the person is receiving instantly. Radio, television, and newspaper tell us about things that are happening around us. Such means of communication that send us information instantly to many people together are called means of mass communication. Now, what happens is, if supposingly something is going in the country and a message needs to be sent to all the people of that country, how would we do that? We would do that through a news channel, and through television or radio or newspaper, and the message is received by a number of people at the same time who are reading that news, listening to that news, or watching that piece of news. So when a communication is being sent to many people, to masses at one time, that is called mass communication. So these are the terms that we learned in today's lesson. Communication, the way we can send and receive messages. Means of communication, the way of communicating with each other. Mass communication means of communication that can be used for sending information to masses. Also remember that we need to communicate with others. The means through which we communicate are called means of communication. Postcards, letters, telephones, mobiles, televisions, etc. are different means of communication. The means of communication that impart information to a lot of people at the same time are called means of mass communication. Now let's complete this exercise and see what have we learned in today's lesson. You have to choose the correct word from brackets and complete the following sentences. Means of communication means ways of sending and receiving messages. Radio, television, and newspaper are the means of mass communication. To send an urgent message, we use a telegram. Fastest means of communication in the modern world is telephone. We can use mobile phone to communicate even while we are traveling. Now you have to match the pictures in column A with the description of that in column B. This is a picture of a newspaper. This is a picture of a telephone. This is of computer. This is radio, and this is magazine. Now you have to circle the odd one out. Newspaper, magazine, inland letter, and an email. So, email is electronic means of communication, rest are not. Television, computer, internet, and email. Internet. Through internet, we can send email. Okay. So internet is not the means of communication, it is a channel actually. So television, computer, and email are the means of communication. Postcard, television, newspaper, radio. Postcard, because the rest of them are means of mass communication, but postcard is not. Then telephone, television, mobile phone, and internet. Internet. Again, these are the means of communication, but through internet, we send emails, letter, postcard, SMS, and telegram. SMS. Rest are the rest are not the electronic means of communication. Now you have to identify the following means of communication and write down their names. This one is radio. This is magazine. This is an email. And this is a computer. You have to answer the following questions yourself. We can discuss over here in short. Why do we need to communicate? We need to communicate to fulfill our needs, to invite someone to some ceremony, to tell someone how we are feeling, to know what's happening around us. So that's why we need to communicate. What was the fastest means of communication before invention of mobile phones? It was telephone, fixed landlines. What is mass communication? When communication is being made to the masses, to the large number of people, that is mass communication. And what are the various means of mass communication? Radio, newspaper, television, loudspeaker also. What are various means of electronic communication nowadays? Telephones, mobile phones, computers, laptops, fax machines, then television, radio. All these are electronic means of communication. Now, these are some fun-based questions that you have to do yourself with your family, with your friends, and have fun with the chapter. You can collect pictures of various means of communication and paste it in your scrapbook. You have to complete the following flowchart showing means of communication. So, this is an email. These are newspapers. This is a magazine. And then apart from these, there are electronic means of communication. There is written over here, there's a piece of information that nowadays mobile phones are very, very popular. Everyone has mobile phones. So what do you think? What all do we do with mobile phones? So here it is written that you can explore a phone for your information in the presence of your elders. So what you can do is to find this information to find the answer to this question also, you can use a mobile phone. So that's the first use of mobile phone. Apart from talking with your family and friends, the very important use of mobile phone is to get information through internet. Then we listen to the songs on mobile phone. Nowadays, we track our steps and work out through the day through mobile phones. What else do we do with our mobile phone? We can surf internet to get information that we have written. What else we can do with a mobile phone? We can take online classes also. We can do online shopping also through mobile phones. So mobile phone is not, we can do online banking also. So mobile phone is not just a mobile phone, it is like a whole world in our pocket. We can do everything uh, through our mobile phones. So what else you can do is you can visit a nearby post office and purchase a postcard or an inland letter, and then you can ask someone to whom you can send a telegram. So just experiment that how a telegram is being done. You can purchase some postal stamps also and gain some knowledge about the difference between the value of different postal stamps, and then you can write about how your experience was when you visited post office. Then internet is an amazing medium of communication. We make different uses of internet. uh, so please see that which feature of the internet do you use if you want to read a story or a book on the internet. I use Kindle. So what do you do? And if what if you read on internet, e-books, if you read, which feature do you use? If you are not reading, if your parents are reading, please find out that. Where do you find any information you need? Google it. Where can you purchase a dress online? On a shopping app. How do you find some new place or address with the help of the internet? We do that with Google Maps. So that's all about communication. How do we do that? How different means of communication help us in making our life super easy and knowing about each other. Keep learning, keep shining. Bye bye.